Welcome to the Team Engagement Podcast, where leaders of teams share their insights. We discuss 6 questions in less than 9 minutes because leaders know how to be concise. Let's jump right into it. Question number 1. In a few sentences, tell us who you are and what you do.
Well, I'm Mark Hunter. I'm known as the Sales Hunter. So what I do is I help companies structure their sales teams to where they can sell more effectively.
That's fantastic. Question number 2. What's the best thing about working with a team?
The best thing about working with a team is the strength of the team. I always say in my particular regard, I work with sales. So I say sales is not a solo activity. Sales is a team sport. And it's amazing when you have a team, the objective is to lift each other up and build on each other's person's ideas. Steve Jobs had a great line. Why is it that we hire people who are smarter than us and tell them what to do? Wrong. I'd rather surround myself with people who are a lot smarter than me. Sure help me.
It's a great perspective. I love the sports analogy, considering that right now we don't have much sports going on. So that's very helpful. Question number 3. I hear from other leaders of teams that it can be a challenge to get team members engaged. Tell me your thoughts on that.
Well, it can be because every person has their own opinion. You know, we all like to talk about ourselves, but then you ask people to share on others. So the challenge is when people have individual agendas and they're not focused on what is that common entity, that common goal, that common objective. If that doesn't exist, you're not going to have engagement.
Great insight. Great insight. Thank you. Question number 4. What other successful team leaders, such as yourself, should be on my podcast?
Wow, there are, you know what's interesting? I think the most successful leaders are the ones we never hear about because they just simply get out and do it. There are so many leaders of small businesses that are absolutely doing an amazing job. And now you're going to ask me for names, and you're putting me on the spot. But you know what? Here's what I find. Have you ever noticed how the person who says they're a great leader is not? You know, because what is the mark of leadership? Things that occur from your people, by your people, when you're not around. That's the mark of a great leader.
No, that's great. Thank you. Question number 5. What other piece of advice do you have for leaders of teams?
I think one of the big things is you have to make sure that you involve every member of the team, but don't play to the lowest common denominator. I see too many team leaders, what they do is they want to create this whole inclusive approach. So they're going to dumb everything down to the lowest person in the organization. And as a result, the team may all be dancing together, but they're never going to achieve their success. You have to play to the strengths of the team. That's the upper third. The upper third, that's where your focus needs to be. That's where you're going to get the greatest growth.
That's a great piece of advice. Thank you. 6th and final question. Tell us about your first job.
Wow, my first job, I got to go back. It's almost like, what do we define as a first job? Was it as a 12-year-old out on the berry field? Yeah, let's go ahead and call it that, because I still remember 12, 13 years of age. Were we violating labor laws? You bet we were, but I was out on the farm every day. And you know, one of the things I learned right then and there, it is amazing how however your boss feels is how you're going to feel. And I know there was one particular farm I would work on where the boss was just a great guy. He was a great guy. And it's amazing how much more productive we were. And this is as a 12-year-old. There was another farm I used to work at occasionally, and man, I did not like the guy. He didn't like anybody. You know what? It's amazing how really nobody did anything. Culture starts at the top. Leadership starts at the top. You, the leader, set the tone and the tempo for the organization. And if I can learn this as a 12-year-old kid out in the farms of Washington State, wow, I guess maybe that applies to anybody and everybody today.
Very much so. What great lessons. Thank you for sharing those. And thank you for being on the podcast today, Mark. How can people find you?
Well, the best way they can find me is, my last name is Hunter. That is my real, people always ask me, what was your name before you, no, my real last name is Hunter. So I'm known as the Sales Hunter. And the best way to reach me is by going to thesaleshunter.com. And I'll explain one final piece. That is, sales is leadership. leadership is sales. Show me a good salesperson, they're going to be a good leader. Show me a good leader, you're going to be a good salesperson.
Love that. Thank you. This is Sean Richards with the Team Engagement Podcast, where leaders of teams share their insights. For more ideas, you can search us up on LinkedIn by searching Blue Sky Business Consulting. And we thank everyone and have a great day.